This content is for kids.
It's not for kids.
Isn't that what I said?
No, it's not for kids. If you are 13 years or younger, this is not for you. Do I have to kill somebody in order to actually make that point across?
No, man, you don't have to kill
Wait
no
a
one.
second.
No.
When we return to our planet, the High Court may well sentence you to torture.
He likes movies, we like movies. SeptumSin versus the world. SeptumSin versus the world. SeptumSin versus the world. SeptumSin versus the world. I'd buy that for $1.
Greetings! You're watching SeptumSin vs. the World. I'm SeptumSin. This is Kotobukijake.
Hey?
And we're here to show you what we got.
Indeed.
Well, we've got some fun stuff going. Oddly enough, I'm the one with the theme this time, so I will hand it over to Jake.
Yeah, well... Yeah, I guess I don't have much of a theme, but...
Well, what's left?
Well, I have a few new pickups this week, but I'm going to have to reach back into the collection because I really don't have a lot of new stuff. But I'm going to start off with something that I'm definitely excited about. I'm quite sure that this has not been brought up or particularly alluded to on the channel, so it should be something fresh. This is a set of those of you in our generation will definitely remember, I'm sure, Saturday night PBS, the British offerings that they would have on there. And there were a few that I saw some Mr. Bean, and I saw some, what was the other one Atkinson had? Was it like Thin Blue Line or something like that? And then some other good stuff, but there were two shows in particular I remembered. And one was Keeping Up Appearances, which I have some bits and pieces, but I still need to get proper collection. Now, the other one is a show that I quite enjoyed.
You have to turn it over to get it out.
About a bunch of individuals working in a British department store. And it's called Are You Being Served?
Oh.
And this is, as it says on the side, the complete collection of the series. And it has one episode of the sequel, Are You Being Served Again? I still need to get the sequel and the movie. I have not seen beyond the first episode of this sequel. But the first series, I have watched this whole collection, and it is quite enjoyable. And like I said, you basically have a single floor of Grace Brothers department store. And you have the woman's counter and the men's counter, and you have Captain Peacock, who kind of struts around running the whole show. I can't remember the name of the dude, the particularly effeminate gentleman at the gentleman's counter whose catchphrase was, "Yes, I'm free." You know, it was a lot of fun. And then Miss Slocum, who was always talking about her pussy, but it was not near as dirty as you would think. She's kind of like Tobias Funke in Arrested Development. Didn't quite understand what she was saying. But fun show. A little bit of the humor was a bit off color. Was British humor to boot. But yeah, this is going to be the problem. Trying to keep the cats away from the food. Hi, Foo.
I just put the top back on it.
Well, I can't at this moment.
No.
I will in a moment. But anyway, so there you go. Fun one to start off with, and I will try to do that while you present. Foo, I'm sorry, but I can't help you. No, you are not being served, Foo.
So, any case, I have a, well, as always this time of year, I have more of a horror type pickup set. And I'm going to do that for the next two pickups. It's going to be nothing but horror/Halloween type stuff. So my first is a video game, which is a Switch video game called Doki Doki Literature Club. Now, this is the Plus Edition, which, by the way, this originally came out as freeware, a dating sim of sorts, and this got a huge bump up from the horror community, and I mean a huge one. So I am actually quite pleased with this. Now, as far as the twists and turns, I'm going to essentially leave that up to you all to discover. There are many people who have done playthroughs and they've only done 1 or 2 parts of it, and they're like, why is everybody so... what's the word? So freaked out about this game? And that's because they don't go long enough. Yeah, I'm talking about you, Rage Select. You need to actually do more than 2 parts of this thing. Do a playthrough and get to the parts.
So is it one of those ones that starts off cute and innocent and then turns
Quite.
a
Quite.
little nice.
Yeah, I wish you could have gotten to this when it was freeware.
Ah.
It's now not freeware. It's not super expensive. It's like $14 digitally, but it is worth it. I'm glad I paid for a copy of it, and it makes me laugh to have it on Switch.
Is that a Steam?
Yeah, it is on
There's a
Steam.
chance I may get to it eventually. I did pick up one that was on sale a couple weeks ago. I picked up this guy just for shits and giggles. It was really cheap, and I was like, I should have this.
It is a good one.
Anyway, another one that, you get just for shits and giggles. Nah, I mean, I kind of have to have it because for a while there, and I think currently, this is the highest grossing film of all time. And of course, this year we're supposedly going to finally get a sequel to James Cameron's Avatar. But I tell you though, I do like this edition. I think it's a very nice looking one. It's very, opens up, it's kind of a book-like interior. Supposedly has 3 different versions of the movie. I haven't bothered watching all 3, but one day, maybe somewhere way down the road, I'll get that much done.
Dances with Wolves in Space.
In space! Yes, indeed. Sorry. I think it's a good movie. I think it was a vastly overrated movie at the time.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, when it comes to these kind of things, it has faced the backlash since then of people going, God, that was overrated.
Yeah,
People need to learn moderation.
Once the special effects were no longer special,
Yeah.
it really became...
I would have loved to see this in theaters, though. That would have been
Yeah.
an experience that I missed out on. But it's still a gorgeous film.
in 3D in theaters, too.
Yes. It's still a gorgeous film. Stephen Lang does make a great villain. It has some great components to it. Highest grossing film ever? I don't know.
All right. Well, let's take a look at my first horror film,
Oh.
and that is The Boy.
Ooh.
The Boy is one I had been curious about for a while, but I had gotten away from watching it.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like creepy doll movies, and this one has a very creepy doll. About this woman. She goes into this house. She answers this advert for a governess, essentially. And they say, okay, here's the child. They introduce it's just a doll, porcelain doll. And they have them like, you gotta adhere to the schedule. You gotta do this right or this right.
Said the white rabbit.
And they get really scared and creeped out if even the slightest thing is off.
Yeah.
And so when she is left to her lonesome with this thing, that's when the creepy shit starts. And there's a nice twist at the end. I kind of like the ending. It's kind of a cool twist ending. I think that overall this is a fun film.
Cool.
Good horror film for the time of year.
Well, I have one that's quite seasonally and thematically appropriate. It is, I could be wrong about this, but I'm almost sure this constitutes my first trauma film in my collection, which I'm sure most people in the group would be like, "You're just now doing that?" But it's also one of the few I've seen, and I actually quite enjoyed it. And it's an early film by Messrs. Parker and Stone of South Park fame. And that is their really weird, crazy, creepy musical drama based on supposed actual historical lore called Cannibal the Musical.
Oh, we could definitely use that one.
And that was one that I'm surprised we haven't already covered on the channel, frankly. But it's one that I've been wanting for a while. I just, for whatever reason, never got around to it. Well, the main reason was I was too cheap to pay anything significant. And I ended up getting it for about... You almost never see this for under about $8 or $9, and it's usually more than that. But for whatever reason, I just thought that was too much, and that's probably why it took so long to get it. But now I have it, and I'm glad I do. It's a fun movie.
Yeah, I got my copy a long time ago from Movie Stop. I think it was on sale there. And it was one of those this is interesting. Let me check this out. But,
How little you knew.
well, let's talk about this particular one to check out, which is Brahms the Boy Two. Which, of course, Brahms is the name of the doll. So, this one kind of jumps the shark a little bit. But not as much as you might think. So, essentially, after the events of the first one, later on, years later, a family goes in and they move to this boathouse that's right off of the original house of the original boy. And the son there finds this doll in a chest, Brahms, and starts taking care of the doll. And it seems weird because the doll keeps telling him to do things, like follow the rules. And you later find out there's a very big supernatural element to this one, whereas the other one, it has supernatural-ish themes, but this one is straight out freaking supernatural. And I've debated my opinion on this one. Because I don't know. I am uncertain as to whether I like this one or not. I'll have to watch it again.
Okay.
But it was an interesting way of going at it.
Good deal. So, those of you faithful viewers will know that we've had... that there's a series that I've been picking up piecemeal whenever it reaches a certain target price. And the 6th and final volume did hit that price over the weekend. And I picked up Inuyasha Set 6, which does indeed slim down the collection, not just with the smaller cases, but with 6 instead of 7 volumes, which is a nice thing. This one does, it's 28 episode collection, does include a couple of featurettes, which is kind of cool. But generally, like I said, it's just great that I was finally able to get that series together. Unfortunately, the sale did feature some of the volumes I already had at a lower price. But with Viz, you really never know.
You never
so it's
know.
like, yeah, but there we go.
Good that you got that done there.
Yep.
So, this here is another for the Amityville. I debated strongly because of certain people involved, but I did go ahead and get this, which is the Amityville Moon, which is an Amityville horror story. What if a house of holiness turned out to be a haven of evil? As Elisa and Carla try to escape From the church home that holds them captive, Carla is slaughtered by a vicious semi-human creature. After Detective Kimball tracks down Elisa at the rowdy biker bar, she tells Kimball that women inmates disappear every full moon and shows him the silver bullets in her gun. Now the two must return to the halfway house to confront the priest and nuns and the snarling, savage evil that dwells within. So, curiosity. But I gotta have all things Amityville, so of course I'm going to be adding that to the collection.
Well, speaking of completionism, we actually have one more step yet to go. And this was one where I did benefit from holding off, because I did pick this one up for under the target price, for $20 instead of $25. And that is Inuyasha, The Final Act. The sequel series, which I actually technically still have not seen. But now, because of this, we have Inuyasha set 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the new 7 is the sequel series. And if you look at this, that takes up so much less space than it did before. So that's great. I'm very happy about that. And it gives me the opportunity and excuse now to check the whole thing out again. But God knows when I'll actually get to that. The one thing that I don't like about this is that you just get all these images of Inuyasha on the side. I really liked how the original sets had the pieces of the crystal being reassembled, I thought that was really cool how they did that. And this is less creative, but it's colorful.
Yeah.
It still looks good. And of course my favorite character still gets to dominate one of the covers and show up on, that. You got to have the group one for the end cover, like you do with all the Takahashi stuff. But it's very fun.
Well, I'm ending mine not as spectacularly, but it's with a Shop Factory one.
Oh.
And I've always wanted this one, and somebody was selling it used for pretty cheap. So I went ahead and got this with a bunch of other stuff. And that is American Gothic.
Ah.
I don't know why. I love the cover. As per the painting of the same name.
Right.
And it's a very interesting horror film. Essentially, a group of people on a vacation end up going to a house. Actually not a house. They end up having to land their plane on this island off of the Pacific Northwest. And it's a very isolated island, and they're trying to get everything prepared and try to get everything together. And they run into this old couple who look like they're still living back in the 1920s. And they get slowly hunted down one by them and their twisted family. It has a very weird and twisted ending. It is, like I say, relatively cool. Very sparse for features for a Shop Factory. But still, not terrible. Interview with the composer and a theatrical trailer, so you're really sparse. But still kind of cool to have it. I've always wanted this film in the collection, so I'm glad that they finally got it.
Very good. Yep.
Well, that's it for this time.
Yep.
Hope you've enjoyed this. If you like it, hit that like button. If you don't, well, hit a dislike button. Helps with the algorithm either way. But
we like the likes.
Yes, we do. So share and let us know what you got this week.
Yeah.
And we'll see you on the next one.
Bye.